Hi, Mom.
Hi, honey.
How are you? You had a big weekend and week.
Oof, I've had a crazy weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even actually know what day of the week it is, but we
Mm.
just finished the college football national championship.
Okay.
I spent a couple of days on Ohio State's campus leading up to that, then lots of practices, meetings, and then the game. So I feel like it's been a whirlwind. We haven't even talked since I think we did our last podcast.
No,
We
you've
texted, but
been
I'm like,
busy.
oh, hi, I miss you. I want to see you.
Yeah, I want to see you too. So you spent a lot of time on Ohio State's campus. You said.
Yes. So I was
Okay.
assigned to the Buckeyes,
Okay.
and so I went to Columbus, Ohio, and I just had the best time. One of the players for Ohio State, who was a senior defensive end, Jack Sawyer, kind of
Mm.
one of the heart and soul players on this team. He's from a small town called Pickerington, about 20 minutes outside of Columbus. And then
Interesting
his
name.
mom and dad own a bar called the Crossroads Pub and Grub
Mm.
in Jacksontown, Ohio, which is even 20 minutes further. So I drove out there. We did a live sports center hit. And when I tell you, I had the best time with the people from Licking County. That's the name of their county. I'm not
Licking.
making
You
this
said it
up.
was Licking County.
Licking County. I met the
Okay.
sheriff. He was very nice. And
Okay.
I mean, like hundreds of people came out to their bar and we all hung out and got pictures. And it was just like this really fun glimpse into players' families and their lives and the communities that support them and love them. So that was probably one of my favorite things I've done in a long time. It was just like this really cool moment of love.
I
And
love
then the
that.
game was awesome. Did you watch the game?
I watched some of it. Yeah, kind of. I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. We
And
talked about
you
this.
love
Yeah.
Marcus Freeman. You wanted
Well, I
Notre
like
Dame.
Marcus Freeman, but then it wasn't as much of a game as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I think the beginning of the game was probably the stuff that legends are made of, where Notre
Yeah.
Dame gets the ball first. They go on the longest drive. I think it was an 18 or 19 play drive,
Wow.
longest drive in championship game history. Riley Leonard, their quarterback, 9 quarterback runs, which is absolutely insane. This kid was like wobbling on his feet, just trying to get back to get the snap, and then he would run into the end zone and score, and then he ran right over to the side and threw up. And I mean, this kid, when you say give your all for old Notre Dame, like he laid it on the line. But the only problem
Dang.
was it took a lot out of that team. That drive and that moment took a lot out of him and that team, and they just could not get any other momentum or juice in that second half
Yeah.
or that second quarter, I should say.
So they
And
lost. They lost a little juice in the middle, in the
yeah,
beginning. I
they
mean,
lost some juice,
yeah.
figuratively and literally.
Oof, gross. I don't remember the last time I've thrown up. I don't think I've done anything hard enough that I needed to throw up recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you? Have you? You haven't. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
I don't know
assuming
if
you
people are
haven't.
tuning in to hear throw up stories, but I have thrown up recently because I got food
Oh.
poisoning last
Oh
week.
no. Oh really?
Yeah, remember I told you I'm a little under the weather today. I woke up
Oh.
like sick.
Oh yeah. Where did? What did you eat? Do we
I
know
don't
what?
know. I don't know.
Huh. That's annoying. Yeah, I don't. I feel like it's always so cool. Because you never really understand when like the players get so into something that they're so exhausted that they throw up. But then the first time I ever played soccer, I played mid, and I immediately thought I was gonna diarrhea, and it was a night. Like it was your body just like panics. It was so crazy. This is gross, but who cares?
I did not see this topic of conversation leading to vomit and diarrhea stories, but
Hey,
here we
we're having
are.
fun.
But
We're
no, I
having
think
fun.
what you're saying is true. Is like your body is under stress, and it's just like, what is happening to me
It
right
just
now?
yeah, it just panics. But oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
So
and
it sounds
Riley
like
actually. So we met
yeah.
with Riley on. See, the game was on Monday. We met with Riley on Saturday,
Okay.
and he was under the weather. He was sick, and there had been a flu going around the team. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Mom's tired
It's
today,
good.
honey,
You're
but
tired.
I
You're
don't know
tired.
if that had been a contributing factor, but really, I think it was more like he played his guts out for his team, like literally. So
Wow.
that young man, I really like him. He's a great kid. Just such a great, positive, happy, wonderful, works hard, great leader. these games are hard because you always hate to see young men lose.
Yeah.
But Ohio State had a lot of those same type of kids, and so it's hard to see somebody go home sad. But it was a cool game, and Notre Dame fought back the second half. Did you see the second half at all, honey?
I watched the end of the third quarter, and that's when
Okay,
I was kind of
so
like, ooh,
you saw
this.
kind of Notre Dame starting to come back,
Yeah.
and they got all this momentum, and I was on the Ohio State sideline, and it was kind of like because in the middle of the second quarter they were kind of letting up, like, oh, I got this, and guys are joking and laughing, and it's
Yeah.
human nature. You're kind of like, all right, we can win this game,
Yeah.
and then Notre Dame came in and just they would not quit. They would not quit. So it
I
was very
mean,
interesting. The game was like 2 minutes left. I think it was third down, 11 yards to go. And Ohio State has to extend the drive in that moment, or Notre Dame gets the ball back and could go down and tie the game potentially. They were down by 8, so they would have had to score, do a 2-point conversion, which would have been hard, but
yeah.
things are possible. And they call a play to a freshman wide receiver who has not
Hmm.
caught a pass in the second half. And it's like a 56-yard bomb, and he catches it.
Wow.
And that's the game. There were just so many really cool storylines.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this one photo with Robbie, our producer, so our listeners can hear it. He can put it in here. But one of my favorite stories was Jack Sawyer. The young man that's like born to be a Buckeye. He's like in a Buckeye bib when he's like 1 month old, and his whole life he's loved the Buckeyes. So he leads them to a national championship. It's just like a story for legends. It's like the
Hmm.
Rudy story, except for he was a 5-star recruit, and he was a really good player.
Okay. Yeah. So not really the Rudy story, but yeah. Okay, yeah.
The Rudy story with talent, if you have talent.
Hey, Rudy had
But
talent.
so we're asking him. He had this epic play in the last game in '83. Texas is going down; they're about to score, and Jack has a scoop and score for 80. He runs 83 yards, and so today, or when did we talk to him? Sunday. We're just chatting with him, and he's like, my favorite memory for the rest of my life is going to be he's running into the end zone, and he can't. There's no jumbotron in the end zone at this stadium.
Yeah.
And so he turns around to look behind him to make sure he's not about to get caught from behind. And all he sees are his Buckeye brethren. There's 5 guys in red jerseys trailing him like a flight squadron into the end zone. And he's like, I will just remember my brothers having my back like that in that moment. And the really inside story of it is the 2 kids who are in front, you'll see in the picture, 2 of the kids who are in front, he's been playing with since he was 8 years old. The kids that are running behind him, 2 of them are young men that he played AAU basketball with since he was 8 years old. So like they have been friends and playing sports together since they were 8 years old, and now they've won a national championship together. So, these stories are just kind of precious. And Sonny and Lorenzo Styles grew up in the same town. In fact, 4 guys on the Ohio State defense all went to the same, or all grew up in the same town, and then end up to be like starters or key players for the Buckeyes in this national championship. So shout out Pickerington, Ohio. The Pickerington
Yeah.
boys did you proud.
There's something in the water. Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
So
it was great.
you had a good time. Where does it rank on national championships for you?
Ooh, good question. I would say it's not one of the top 5 because I've done some national championships that went right down to the wire. I think you and I have talked about this before. My favorite
Yeah.
all time was Texas USC. Vince Young runs it in with seconds to go to win the national championship for Texas, the most epic game of all time.
Wait,
I
that
would
was a
also
national championship?
yeah, that was a national championship
Oh, I
game.
thought it was just a Rose Bowl. Okay.
It was the Rose Bowl, but it was
And it was a natty.
yeah, and it was like before the time where we had like a playoff like we do now. It was like called the BCS era.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so they were 1 versus 2 in the polls, so they ended up playing, and so Texas is recognized as a national champion from that game.
Oh, wow.
But the other one I would say, I was trying to remember, you might have been to this game with me, or
Maybe.
because you have worked national championships with me.
Yeah, I've been in a few.
But the one where Alabama played Clemson, there's 2 different versions of it. So one year, Alabama plays Clemson, and Clemson is the underdog. Deshaun Watson throws a ball to a former walk-on, Hunter Renfro, who when he joined Clemson was 146 pounds. And he
Mm-hmm.
blossoms into this critical slot receiver, and he catches a game-winning play with 6 seconds left. And I remember interviewing Hunter after the game, and he's like, I knew if they threw it to me, I could score because they would be paying attention to all of our other more talented wide receivers. And I'm just like this little walk on dude. And
Yeah,
so he's like, I knew I could score. And he did. So that one was pretty epic. That was the final play of the game.
that's a
But
good one.
then, but then there was another. Oh, this was actually Alabama, Georgia. You remember Tua
Yeah,
Tagovailoa.
yeah.
So you actually were with me. We did the Hawaii Bowl many years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That
do
was
you
great.
remember I
Those
went
are
to his
great.
high school? He was a high school student, and we were in we
Oh, that
were in
was for Tua.
Honolulu.
I remember going to the high school and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you don't remember? You didn't remember the player it was?
I did not. No, because I was working. I was running that year, so it kind
Yeah, you
of.
were a runner,
I was actually working, so I wasn't logging anything. I was
right?
like getting people paper from Office Max and driving a Camaro. I got to drive a Camaro around Hawaii, which
Honolulu.
was pretty
Wow,
around Honolulu. It was pretty great.
that would be stressful. Honolulu is kind of a hard city to drive in because it's like up against the mountains, and then you're right in the city, and then you're
Yeah,
going through
it wasn't
forests,
as
and
much fun as I thought it was going to be. To be
you had to pay
honest, it was a
attention.
lot. It was a lot more just stressful. But I mean, hey, I got to drive a Camaro, so a win's a win.
A win's a win.
Exactly.
Right. So I had read an article in USA Today about this up and coming high school quarterback that they thought would be the next Marcus Mariota.
Hmm.
And he played at a high school in Oahu. And I was like, well, I'm here in Oahu. I should go meet this kid and his
Let's go
family
check him
and
out. Yeah.
do a story. So we actually did an interview with him, and his little brother was there. He ended up playing college football too. And then he was honored at the game, the Hawaii Bowl, later the next day. So
Wow.
you were one of the first people
On
in
that
the
train.
continental United States, the connected United States
Hmm.
that met Tua and his family. Oh,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Wow.
I
That's
forgot
crazy.
the story. So Tua's a freshman. He gets to Alabama. He's backing up Jalen Hurts.
Hmm.
And at halftime, Jalen's just not playing well. It's not going great. At
Yeah.
halftime, Nick Saban comes out and starts Tua in the second half, and he throws I think it was a fourth down. It was either third and long or fourth and long, and
Hmm.
he throws a game-winning touchdown to Devontae Smith, who later went on to win the Heisman. So,
Wow.
those are probably my top three right there.
Those are pretty good. Is that 3 or is that 2?
Rose Bowl, Alabama, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia. That's three.
Oh, yep. Okay. Alabama.
That's three.
I don't know if I remember the Alabama Clemson one. I wasn't there for that one, was I?
Alabama, Clemson. I don't think you were there for that one.
Well, that's okay.
You've been to a lot of them through the years. I've taken you to a lot of national championship games.
I've been a lot of national championships. I'm surprised I wasn't at this one, but it's okay. I guess I'll let it go. It's fine.
You're always invited, honey. You always have an invitation.
I definitely the next one we'll try to get there for the next one.
Okay. It's so funny because I'm so obsessed with sports, and you're like a
I know
medium.
it's a
And
try
so I
and
never
true.
know if I'm bugging you to invite you to these things or if you're interested or not.
It's always fun to go to the game. No matter what, the game is great.
Right.
And it's always fun. Like I love the atmosphere and stuff. I just struggle to actually follow any of the teams. Yeah.
Like being a hardcore fan.
I just don't really have a team.
You need to get to know the people better, though, because I think that
Yeah.
I feel like, at ESPN, we call it a rooting interest. Like if you get to know the kids, you have a rooting interest because you've got to know them as people and players and humans. And, if you get to know the human story of some of these people, then you care more about the result of the actual game because you are invested.
All right. Well, okay. So now since it's over, since the college football season's over, let's pick a team, and I will be a diehard that team fan for next year.
Okay, for college football?
For college football, let's look at. Just give me some options. Who do you think? Who are you kind of looking at? And let's pick a team.
Mm.
And
well, I think
we'll
for
see if my team
you,
makes it.
so selfishly, I would want to pick a team that I get to cover a lot because then you could come with me to games.
There we go. Okay.
So then that would be a connection. But I
Okay.
honestly feel like the human that you would resonate the most with is Marcus Freeman. Like,
All right. So we're going Notre Dame.
I feel like you would just naturally be a Notre Dame fan, honey, because
All right.
Marcus
Let's
is
lock it in.
literally like the coolest guy on the planet. He's so chill. He has beautiful biracial children, like our family. His wife is amazing, Joanna. I actually went to one of his son's high school football games this year with them,
Oh wow.
and it was
Wow.
fun and got to meet all their kids. He has 6 kids, and all the kids are running around, and
Wow.
it's like a fun vibe. So I feel like you would love the
Okay.
Freeman family.
Okay. So we're going Notre Dame. I'm a Notre Dame fan this year. You guys heard it here first. It doesn't matter that much, but okay. So next year I'm everything Notre Dame. I'm gonna bring stats. Let me write this down somewhere. Notre Dame.
All right, the day you're quoting Notre Dame stats on the podcast, it will maybe be your mother's proudest. You know, like some parents are proud when their children become doctors or lawyers or people of great achievement. I'm proud when my
Mm-hmm.
son can talk football stats.
I will be. It'll happen. It's gonna happen this year. That's the goal. That's one of my goals for the year. Is
I love it.
we'll do the stats. How have your goals for the year been going for your goals? Because we talked
Okay,
about goals
well,
last week.
so yes, so backpedal, backpedal, backpedal,
Oh boy!
backpedal.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
So I haven't actually had time to sit down and write the goals out and be organized. What are we at? We're January 21st.
Let me look. Yeah, it's
Recording on
21st.
January 21st. So
Yeah.
I will work on that tomorrow. I
Okay.
really have been kind of underwater. Just this extended college football playoff has been challenging. It's been
a lot.
It's a lot.
Long. When does it start? It starts in September, right?
I think I think my first game was like August 28th, something like that.
That's a lot.
So it's been a long grind of every single week, having to be at the very best version of yourself for these monster football games. And I'm not complaining. I love it. I've worked my whole life to get to this stage of my career. But mom's tired today. Like, mommy
That makes
is
sense.
tired.
Hey, we're not gonna. We'll do a short episode. We're doing a check-in with mom.
Check in with mom. Is she
Sometimes
alive?
the phone calls are short. She's alive. That's mostly what this podcast is for, is to make sure that we're both alive.
Exactly. I will tell you this. I will set some goals. We can talk about it next week, honey.
Okay.
I did find I was cleaning out lots of stuff recently at our house, looking for some old photos. And I remember I told you I do that list of 50 things to do every year. And it's not necessarily a goal list. It's just a list of things to get you out of your routine of like sitting on the couch and binge watching shows like I've been doing today. It's a way of like getting you to try new things and hobbies and stretch your brain and stretch your creativity and stuff like that. So I found my 50 things to do this year list from 1986.
Oh, wow.
So
wow. I think you sent me a
picture
picture
of
that
too.
I'll bring that on
the pod next week and we can go through it and talk about it.
But we can see what you've done, what you've nailed on that list already. So that way we can kind of have
1986. And then maybe
time.
if you want, you can come up with your own list of things to do. And these are different than goals. Okay. These are just like
things you want to do.
Personal growth challenges.
Oh, so it's not like bucket list stuff. It's just or not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It is.
But some of it's like I've always wanted to learn how to cook a certain dish. Like one year I wanted to learn how to cook Indian food, or I want to learn, like I've been trying to learn how to knit this year, stuff like that.
Okay.
Wait,
you were trying to learn how to knit this year?
Yeah. I have knitting needles at our house as we speak.
Which is this 2023 or 24?
This was 2023, 24, yeah.
Did you knit anything?
No, I didn't. As I said, I'm trying to learn how to knit.
Wait, we didn't. How have we not talked about this once? I didn't know you were trying to knit.
I don't know. I just didn't think to bring it up.
Wow. Okay. And you're not gonna knit. You got to knit something now.
Yeah, I will effort that. So you see people like at the train station or the airport or whatever. You see people, typically women. I have seen men knit, but I see a lot of women doing it. People just do it as like a busy work hobby. Like they might be watching a game or watching TV and just doing it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it might be good for your brain because the older you get, the more you stretch your brain. It helps prevent dementia, other things like that. So
that's fair.
I thought learning a new tactile skill like that would be important for me. And
okay.
I just have not mastered it yet. There's some complicated knots and stitches, and then you got to decide: am I making something or am I just doing a bunch of rows of stuff, and then I pull it out and start again. Like, so, I'm on the step one phase of knitting, honey.
Okay, I think by the end of the year, a hat would be good.
Okay, so a hat seems hard because there's shape to it. Could we go scarf? Could I interest
Okay,
you in a long, straight scarf?
we can start with a scarf, and
Okay.
then we'll see
Work our
where we
way
go.
up to a matching hat.
I like it. Okay, there's
Okay.
one goal. There we go. We have a
There we
goal.
go.
I like that.
But
So
it
we have
but
two
it
goals.
can also be bucket list stuff, honey.
And it's bucket list stuff. I'm trying to think if I have anything bucket listy.
So I'll give you an example. One of mine was learn how to salsa dance. So one year I took
Okay.
salsa dancing lessons from a Cuban master. And so you don't know this about me, but I'm actually a pretty good salsa dancer. I actually have salsa dancing shoes, outfits.
Really?
Like, yeah, I could go to a salsa club and hold my own right now.
Could you though? Are you sure that you?
Yeah.
How long ago was this class? Because you got to practice.
10 years ago.
All right. Well, next time you're in New York, I know some salsa places. I know some. I think it's bachata, but salsa and bachata they go to the
salsa is
places.
a different
We
step
can do
than
both.
bachata,
but they're both going to be.
Yeah.
We'll test your skills.
I like it. I'm in.
With some pros, if you will. I know.
Do you have any bucket list things you'd want to do, or like little things that you're like, one day I'd like to?
A bucket list thing.
Bucket list see, my brain's tired. I can't even think of the word.
It implies death.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, after I almost died, let's be honest, when I was dying through my cancer treatments.
You did actively need a bucket list. Sadly. Not anymore, though.
I was doing my bucket list, and it made me realize you shouldn't do your bucket list just because you're dying. You should be living your bucket list every day.
Yeah, you should have
that
a bucket
should be
life.
What your life looks like.
You gotta have a bucket list life.
There we go.
Bucket life. No, that doesn't sound good. A bucket life sounds bad.
Yeah, that sounds like you could poop in a bucket or pee in a bucket.
You're pooping in your life.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we won't do that. But there's a lot of poop talk today.
There is. Okay. I don't know why.
It's okay. So my bucket list. Oh boy. Bucket list stuff. This is. I want to travel more. I want to go to New Zealand. I feel like that. Yeah. I think it's a good one, right?
That's a great one.
Yeah, go to because I was always a Lord of the Rings nerd, so I feel like New Zealand would be a good place to express.
That's where they filmed a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think most of mine are travel related. I'm trying to think what else. Make a movie. I'll put that on there. Okay, I'm gonna come with a bucket list next week.
Okay.
I'm gonna come with a bucket. Let's have a bucket life lists.
I like it.
And we'll come in with them hot.
So while you're thinking of that, I just wanted to tell you one cute story for Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
So my dad was in the Air Force, and he was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. My mother worked in the White House secretarial pool, and that's actually how my parents met, was in Washington, D.C. And while they were dating, you have seen the famous Martin Luther King March, the I Have a Dream speech.
Mm.
Grandma and Grandpa were there.
I knew that they were there. I did not know that they met that way.
Yes, they met in Washington, D.C. And wow. I just have always been very, very proud of my parents. These are two white people from rural Utah. Both of my parents grew up on a farm. My dad was a sheep herder. My mom grew up on a dairy farm. And that they had enough awareness to know that that was an important cause to support has always made me very happy that my parents supported Dr. King and his message.
I mean, it worked out.
Yes.
As you can see.
Yes.
Because, black sun. So you did. It's
love.
It really had
exactly.
It had an effect on you.
They did. Yeah, they were. My dad especially was very loving and accepting of people who were different than him. And for that time period, that's back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. I think that was important because not a lot of people had that thought and that mindfulness of people who are different than me can teach me something and can be welcome, and we can include each other And so I've always really appreciated that my parents brought that aesthetic to our family and those values to our family.
I've been
Ouch.
fasting. I've been fasting today. So
Why?
one of my goals was to do a 36-hour fast. Um, and I'm at like hour 19 or 20.
That's amazing. Okay, so
So yeah.
we've had this conversation before, and maybe other parents have with their children too.
Yeah.
But I have been a bad mother as like sometimes I've made comments to you about your weight. Because you've been a very
You've called
thin.
me fat to my face.
I've not called you fat.
You've called me fat.
I've never called you fat.
In your way.
I may have been like, give you a
Oh
hug and lovingly be like,
yeah, and
oh,
then you
honey.
squeeze, you pinch a little bit of the belly. Yeah, and you're like, oh,
But I've never called you fat.
you've
I
called
would
your
not
fat in
do
your way.
that because I myself am fat.
You've given me the you're not fat. You've given me the fat eyes.
Fat eyes like,
Yeah, like
have you gained some weight, honey?
like oh, yeah.
Oh. So,
For the
but
podcast
we had a
listeners,
really
it's
important conversation that bothered you. I thought that was a really good growing moment for us as a family of like,
well,
I,
yeah. Nobody likes to get called fat, especially when they are fat.
I've not called you fat, but you're
But
right.
then
Nobody likes their weaknesses being brought to their attention.
yes, but it's also good because then if you get called fat, then you know you're fat, and you can go if you feel like doing something about it. You can do something about it.
Well, anyway, so is it inappropriate if I say to you today, we're sitting here talking and I'm looking at your face and I was like, gosh, you look amazing. Like your jaw is sculpted and your cheekbones are sculpted. It's because you're fasting.
Yeah, I haven't eaten. I haven't drank this month either, so that's good. And then
Yeah,
just
you look
eating
good.
healthier as well. That helps.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm tired today
Well, you
because it's a
probably
lot.
need calories for energy.
Yeah, and I also woke up early, and then you go work out, and then I did some auditions, and then so we're doing this in the afternoon. So now you came on, and you're like, "Oh, I'm tired." And I was like, "Oh no,"
No,
because
I'm
I'm at like 60. Like I'm drinking bone broth. We have to drink bone, or that's at least what they recommended. Like if you start to
right,
get really hungry,
right.
drink some bone broth. So I have just a big old cup of hot bone broth over there.
Well, your sculpted cheeks and jaw look amazing, darling.
Thank
Not
you.
that you're not always a beautiful young person, but
As much as I love hearing that from you. You've also called me fat. It's fine.
I
I
have
think most
never called you fat. Do
children.
not fat shame me.
I'm not fat shaming you. You
You're
fat
shaming
shamed
me
me.
for insinuating that I called you fat. That's fat shaming.
People, every single child that listens to this podcast knows for a fact what I'm talking about. There's a look, and there's a oh, it happens. I'm not shaming you for shaming me. I'm just bringing to light the shame that I have received.
So you know how sometimes people talk about resting bitch face, like they're like, oh, if
It's
I
not
only
resting
had.
bitch face. It's not resting bitch
It's
face.
what
There's a
what I'm
different
gonna
no.
say. It's resting parent face. It's resting parental judgment face.
Yeah.
Like we're coming in and we're trying to not say anything or judge you or criticize you, but our parental brain just can't turn it off, and it sits right there on our face like,
Yeah.
what's that
Yeah.
about? What's that outfit about?
It's a brutal face, and I don't think anybody enjoys receiving the parent judgment face.
Resting
Yours,
parent face. That's what I'm calling it. Resting parent face.
okay? Would you say that you're a judgmental parent?
Yes,
Yeah.
very.
Uh-huh.
I grew up with very critical parents, and I have modeled that in my own parenting. I am aware of it and trying to break it.
That's good. That's
Have you
good. What?
noticed I've been a lot better lately?
Oh, we barely talk. No, kidding. No, you have. You've been great.
Have you
If
noticed? Be honest.
you've
Don't
no,
gloss over it.
you've gotten better.
I'm
I
trying
still
to.
catch it every now and again. We'll be
Yeah.
like you'll get at me like you're not working hard enough on ABC, and I'm like I am. You're just what's happening.
Right.
But there's some we're working through it. There's some harsh lines every now and again.
Mm-hmm. You know what it is when kids are young, like you see parents with toddlers in public and you see parents constantly, oh, no, no, honey, don't do that. Come over
Yeah.
here, sit here. Is like let's say the first 14 to 18 years of your life, parents are critically correcting your behavior every second of every single day. And then
Mm-hmm.
you get to 18 and we're expected to kind of just turn that piece of our brain off. That's not easy, right?
Well,
Because we've been and why we're correcting you is teaching you life and like don't go over there, you'll fall down these stairs, or don't touch the oven door because you'll get burned or whatever. It's a correction based childhood, and so when you get older, we're not supposed to correct you anymore, and that's really hard to turn off.
interesting. That does make me think of, because I was remembering this. We can talk about this on the podcast, right? Remember when you were working at Fox 13?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling that story recently, and apparently, not a lot of people were left alone for hours on end when they were 8 years old.
No, it was inappropriate.
I thought that was a normal thing until I had this conversation, and then they were like, "No, we would have had a babysitter or something." And I was like, "I was chilling. I had a great time.
Yeah. I don't think you were
I thought it
eight.
was
I feel
fun."
like you were maybe
I was 8.
10.
No, I was 8.
Were you 8?
I remember.
I did leave you alone because, single mom trying to make it work, and
I know.
poor.
Well, I'm not.
We were
There's no shame
poor.
on you. Yeah, I thought that was normal.
It was not normal, honey.
I think
It was
that kids should.
survival.
I was fine. I think one time I got hurt because I spilled some hot soup on me.
Right.
I think it's
No,
good.
you were on your own too much. That's an actual fact. But when I was like 10 years old, I was babysitting and earning money for other people's kids.
That's what
So
I'm
it was
saying.
kind of like a different time where I thought when you were 8 years old, you maybe were old enough to be left on your own. But
I
now
think it's
that would
fine.
be really forbidden. It's probably actually illegal in society right now. But
I
when
think
I
it was
was
illegal
10,
then, but I
it
don't
probably
think it's.
was. But I was babysitting other people's kids when I was 10.
Yeah, I think that's. I do think you should be able to take, like, if you raise your kid good enough, well enough.
Well enough.
If your kid's good, then you should. If you raise kid good, you should be able. It should be able to take care of itself pretty early.
But it's more of like an exterior safety thing of like, what if there's a fire? What if there's an emergency? What if
I knew
someone
what to
comes to
do
the
if there was
door
a
and you answer the
fire.
door? It's
Don't
not
answer the
necessarily
door.
it's not necessarily you per se. It's stuff can happen and unexpected things can happen.
I think
So
that's
I
dumb.
should not have left you alone. A lot of times where I left you alone was at the station. I would bring you to the station with me and I would be working. Do you remember that newsroom in the far back
Yep, I
corner?
remember that.
And you would just be in the far back corner and I'd go out and do the news and you'd just be in the back playing with your toys for hours on end.
Yep.
I also brought you to work with me when you were a baby and like 1 year old at 4:30 in the morning. I was doing traffic reports. I would bring you and make a little bed for you in the corner of the studio and you would sleep while I did traffic reports at 4:30 in the morning.
My favorite memory of that was we would always stop at the gas station as we drove to the radio station, and I would always get this like chocolate, like those crappy chocolate donuts. That'd be
Oh
my
yeah, the
you would
chocolate cake donuts. I still love
yeah
those to this day.
you would give me one of those. If I have one of those now, I'm like, oh, it reminds me of being a small child in a dark room listening to radio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-80 is backed up right now around the Sugar House exit.
just all going
Be
right
sure to
over my
keep your
head.
eyes open as you peel up State Street. Things are backing up right now. Yeah, I did traffic. I had a fake name. I forget what my name was. I think I had
You
a
had a
funny
fake
name
name?
like yeah, I did traffic reports as like I think Britney Spears was big then. I think I was Brittany Rhodes. Brittany Rhodes.
Brittany Rhodes.
Or something obnoxious like that. It was like a
Your
fake made
your
up
alter
traffic
ego
thing.
was Brittany Rhodes.
I can't remember
That's
exactly, but
for the
I made a pun on traffic. I made a pun on traffic combined with the name of someone who was a popular singer at that point.
Wow, Brittany Rhodes, fascinating. I did not know that. I had no idea that was.
Yeah,
It's a good name.
yeah. So parents out there, I know we are all doing a lot of things to survive. Survival.
I mean,
Tough.
I think that time spent alone was good because I had to entertain myself, and this was before. I think the latchkey kid. Yeah, it made a lot of us funny because, like, when you look back on it, it's like, oh, I was alone and whatever. But you had to, teach yourself how to have fun. I don't think that's bad.
I thought you got a lot of good skills because I would come downstairs sometimes. You'd been downstairs playing for hours and you had little action figures and you would be down there. Come on, John. And you would be telling stories and full on plots for hours with your action figures. And so I think it's helped make you the creative person and writer that you are today.
I know. It's honestly, did I already tell this story in the podcast? During COVID, I found my box of action figures that you've saved,
Mm-hmm.
except for Flick, obviously. Listen to last week's podcast if you want to hear about Flick, RP.
Oh, the great flick drama of 2024.
It's fine. I'm going to find whatever niece or nephew did that, and they're going to be in trouble. But I found that box when we were in COVID, and I was, COVID. We would drink a little bit of wine, we'd watch movies, whatever, and then I'd go downstairs. And I was downstairs, I had a couple glasses of wine in me, and I was like, let's just see if the magic is there. And I brought out the action figures, and I tried. I really gave it my best. It didn't hit quite like it did back in the day, but it was, it was a valiant attempt.
Valiant attempt.
But now I'm almost 30, so it's, some things you lose.
I really used to buy you an action figure. Like, I remember you being 16 years old and buying you new action figures because it was just a cute thing and you still loved them.
Yeah, we were weirdos in high school. All the Marvel movies started coming out, and we just decided, like, why not? Like, there's making all these new toys that we didn't have when we were kids. Like, screw it. So me and my buddy Johnny and Dunchie, we would, like, go and buy toys. We'd drive ourselves to the Walmart and buy toys and then play with them. And we did that it didn't last too long. It was maybe like a year of junior year. But we're just it's fun, We didn't have, social media was like kind of lame. You just like maybe talk to one person or two. So we just sit there and play our action figures and eat junk food and watch dumb movies. It was honestly pretty wholesome and awesome.
I read an article recently that talked about the importance of keeping your sense of play as you become an adult. Mm-hmm. That, you become an adult and every day is like responsibility and this and that. And yes, maybe you'll go to a movie or have some entertainment fun, but that you lose your sense of play, which is just mindless, like play, like roller skating, water skiing, riding your bike, like how you used to play as a child. And how essential the spirit of play still is in humanity as you get older. So yeah, I'm here for it, son.
It's my favorite. And if one thing ever goes away from me, the last thing will be play. I would rather just be an irresponsible, playful person than a responsible, sad sack who can't do anything.
Love it. All right.
The people who can't play are the ones who comment mean things on people's Twitters and stuff because they suck. They don't have any imagination. Go do something fun.
Exactly. All right, darling. I love you more than life, but Mom's running out of gas. Are we doing chaos theory? I don't have one. I was too tired. I don't have one.
Okay.
You've got one?
I got you. All right. So, okay. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So, and I was thinking about doing the fast. So I thought of what's one thing that you think you could give up for a month?
Oh, sugar. I've actually done this. Sugar.
You've already done this? I was thinking of it as like a challenge for February.
Oh, for me and you to do?
Yeah. So maybe, how about this? We'll think of some, because I know you're tired. We'll think of some challenges.
Candy. No, I'll already do it because I've already got it? About I want to give up candy. I'm great for like, I'll just have a Swedish fish or two, and then it's like a whole bag. Or
and then the bag's
gone. Have an M&M or two, and it's a whole bag. So I think candy, because I've been reading a lot about how glucose affects inflammation in your body. So I will 100% give up candy for the month of February for you.
Okay.
You,
no
together.
Candy.
What are you going to give up?
Trying to think of something. I haven't been drinking, so that's good. Giving up the booze. But I've already done that for a month, so I need something new,
What's something that you feel like you overindulge on that might not be healthy?
Eating out.
Mm.
Okay.
That
All
would be
right.
hard not to eat out for a month, honey. That's almost impossible in New York City.
Yeah, that one's tough. But I think okay, maybe that would be it. No eating out for a month. Except for I get one Valentine's Day. Just gonna take, you know.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
your mom comes to town.
All
Mom
right.
might come
So
to town sometime in
going out,
February.
that's a bust. Okay. What do we?
That's a bust. I just think that's really hard. Because what if you're stuck somewhere and you gotta
All right.
grab
I'll
a
join.
sandwich from a bodega?
You know what? I'll join you. No candy for February.
Okay, then we can support each other.
Okay.
I love it.
We're giving up candy for February.
Let's do it.
Or I mean, we could give up a social media app for February. No, we need that for work. Never mind. All right. No
Yeah,
candy
I
for February.
need to, but I do use it for work quite a bit. So
I like our little quick chaos theory. I love you.
all
You
right.
look exhausted.
I love you. I am exhausted. Thank you for chatting with me. I've been really missing you this week, and
I
this
missed you
makes me
too.
happy.
This was fun.
All right.
Like, share, subscribe. Follow us on all the social media. Follow the Joy Us Foundation too if you get a second. And
Oh no, submit chaos theory ideas.
submit chaos theories.
What is our podcast handle? Call Your Mom Pod.
Yes, call your mom pod. Send us just message them to us. We should make like a. Oh, we'll work on that later. But submit anything we post. Just go under there, comment chaos theory things. I'll go through it and I'll find them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
All right.
Goodbye,
Well,
darling. Love
goodbye,
you.
Mom. Bye.